I like to decorate for Christmas, so I set up a display that has become an annual tradition each year. Each year I make subtle changes to the display, including building a new tree last year. Many were intrigued by the tree, and I received many praise and questions on how the tree was constructed. As I set up the display each year, I already began planning on the following year's display. So as much as I enjoyed the way the tree came out last year, as I was putting it together, I saw some limitations and I wanted to reduce them while improving this year's design. Other than the improvements on the design, I am hoping to build the best DIY residential twinkly Christmas tree you have ever seen. Well, at least in theory. Whether it will work, we have to wait and see. I am not an architect or an engineer, but I will do my best to play one in this video. To get started, let's do some measurements. The tree will stand about 10 feet tall with the star. To make it easy to store, I will build it in two parts. The bottom part will be 6 feet wide at the base and 4 feet at the top, while the top piece will be 4 feet at the base, slimming down to 1 foot wide at the top. As you can see, I'm using two 4x8 PVC sheets to draw out the design. I am tracing the top part of the tree, so I need to use the long side of the PVC sheet because the top part is about 5.5 feet long. So I measure up 5.5 feet on each side, mark it and connected the dots. Since the top part will be 1 foot wide, I move over 1.5 feet on each side and put a mark. From there, you trace the lines. For the bottom part of the tree, I follow the same principle. After tracing it, I took a ruler and lined it along the traced lines. Starting from the bottom at the 1 inch mark, I place a dot every 2 inches from the bottom to the top. I repeated the same step on the opposite side. Once that was completed, once again connect the dots to form a line. I follow the same steps for the bottom part of the tree. Drawing the design is pretty straightforward. Mark your measurements and trace them. From there, I put a ruler along the first traced lines from the bottom and mark a dot every 2 inches and 2.5 inches in some instances to get the correct amount of light. Because the top part of the tree will have 400 lights, while the bottom will have 700 to make 1100 total lights. I counted and marked each line to make sure all the lights were within the frame. The numbers you see on the sides represent the number of lights in each line, and that's the bottom part of the tree with the same concept. I use a handheld saw for the next part to cut out the frames. After cutting out the frames, I sanded the sides to smooth out the rough edges. Here you have the cutout frames. I think we are done. Oh wait, there's more. Let's continue then. After that, I built a frame for the back of the cutout to add structural support. I didn't want the tree to be too heavy, so I used 1x3 and 1x2 inch boards to build the structural frame. For this part of the build, I use a miter saw to cut the boards. I made the cuts according to the length of the frames, starting with the bottom part of the frames. I traced a line to make the angle cuts. All the cuts were straight cuts and 15-degree cuts for the angles and the corners. Here you have it. I repeat the same step for both parts of the tree. I added a couple more boards in the middle to provide more stability. I added glue to the boards and clamped them in place to the frames. It was already getting too dark outside when I was done with the glue, so I rested and let the glue do its magic. It was a chilly and perfect day for a fire pit, so we lit the fire pit and threw a couple of chicken legs on the grill. The warm fire provided just the right amount of comfort to relax the muscles. I let the glue dry overnight, and by the time I finished my actual work day the next day, it was already too dark, so I took everything inside to continue to work on the tree. The top part of the tree received the glue well, but the bottom part did not do too well. Some of the boards did not adhere to the frame, but that is okay because the glue was only meant to hold the boards in place, so I could add some screws for better support. I used these 3/4 inch screws and went along the frame to screw them in. Besides the screws, I added some bolts to increase durability to the frame. I know the bolts are longer than needed, but I already had them, so I used them. Once the screws and the bolts were in place, it was time to start drilling the holes for the lights, all 1,100 of them. So let me put my jetpack on and speed things up. All done, but I'm not sure who's going to clean up this mess. Better call the housekeeper. Oh wait, that's also me. Let's move on. We need the front of the frame to be black, so let's do some painting. Structurally, I was not comfortable with the 1x3 board being strong enough to handle the load of the tree. So I simply removed it and cut out a stronger 2x4 to replace it. The 2x4 will provide the added support that I will need once I stand the tree up. There is no actual mechanics to this, so don't judge my strokes. While you might be scratching your head, you made it this far into the video without pulling your hair out. Make sure to subscribe, press the like button, and hit the bell icon if you haven't already done so. Last year's tree consisted of 800 twinkly lights. I added 300 more lights to make 1100 for this year's design. For those of you who might not be familiar with twinkly lights are smart LED bulbs that allow you to create your own light show and effects all through the app. Depending on your setup and amount of lights, you can make many cool effects without knowing how to code or program. The app is easy to use and the lights and effects are pleasant to the eyes. Well, this is not a sponsored video, so enough about Twinkly. Let's get back to the build so you can see the potentials for yourself. I started with the top part of the tree. I inserted the lights from the back of the frame, exposing the lights in the front. I'm sure many of you watching might have better ideas as you watch this video. Please feel free to drop those ideas in the comments below. Here is the top part with the lights on during the day. I proceeded by repeating the same sequence with the larger bottom portion of the tree. Here is the tree with the lights on and a partially dark space. It's coming around. But we are not done yet because we have to add some ping pong balls to each light. For this part of the build, I use a hot glue gun, a soldering iron to poke the hole in the ball. I also enlisted some help from this beautiful young lady who was willing to help. Oh boy, that's a lot of ping pong balls. So let's get to it. This process is simple and repetitive. I use the soldering iron to poke the hole big enough to fit the light, add hot glue around the hole to hold the ball in place. After a long workout to put all the balls in place, this is what we have. I added some brackets behind the frame in the corners to add more stability. Once again, I am not an architect or an engineer. I was only playing one for this video. I rigged a piece of wood for the star, and I will screw it to the top of the tree's frame. Let's see what the tree looks like. Wow, not bad. Once the tree is up, I will be able to run different effects on it. I'm curious to get your opinion. Do you think the tree looks nicer with the balls or without? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to come back to see the display when it's all done. Thanks for watching and completing this project with me, and I will see you in the next one.